Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 489. This is your guide to the geek side, and I'm one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra. We're officially in September. Football's on. We are ready to roll. Let's go and get into the fall of geek. Joined by Charlie Carden, who we're bringing into the technological advanced age of dual screens within the same screen.
They have the internet on computers now, I've heard.
Yes, they do.
But yeah, September, so give me a little Earth, Wind, and Fire. Bop, bop, bop.
No.
Damn it. Someday. Yeah, good day, except for the fact I'm feeling my age. I've had a back surgery and a knee surgery, and they usually cooperate because they were both 15 years ago. And in the last few days, they've teamed up against me. So I'm hobbling around the house, wearing a knee brace. It said pickleball. Pickleball did me in.
Unfortunately, Charlie, pickleball is using your joints, and your joints are bad.
You know, you play something called skinny singles, where it's just you play right across the fence. I got to start. I think that might be my new style because you don't have to move much. We'll see. I don't want to be there yet.
Have you tried Pong?
Oh, that requires a table. You know how much trouble it is to make a table? Oh, that kind of Pong. I thought you meant table tennis. Oh, anyway. But it's good to be in September. The weather is still not too treacherous, but it's not in the 90s, which is great. I like that. But we got a fun show, as always, because we're in between great films to talk about. We have a very fun documentary to break down, so I'm excited about that. But before we get to that, got to pay them bills. But it's always a pleasure to do this because we talk about the awesome folks on our Secret Friends Unite Patreon. If you visit, as always, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, you have the opportunity to try out all of our wares for 7 days for free and to stay on board for as little as $2 a month. You get great ad-free versions of our shows, early versions of our shows, all the great bonus content, and et cetera, and special things for patrons. We'd love to have you on there. And as a sidebar, our YouTube channel, which you may be watching our faces on right now, has now achieved over 200 subscribers. So we're super excited about that. Visit us there. Take a look what we got going on. See our lovely faces. And the more that people stack up, the more people can help find the show. And at the very minimum, go out there, like, rate, and subscribe. It helps the show out tremendously, getting us out in front of more people. Do keep in mind with the Patreon, please go to the Patreon website. There are other forces such as Apple that will take a bigger chunk if you sign up from their site. So use the old World Wide Web. Hey, it's habit by now. So over on our besties level of the great Patreons, Chris 1H1D, my pal Derek Trevelyan, the figure dude, Francie, who is my wife's hairdresser, lovely lady, the Xbox, Todd's typing, expansion pass, that's our friend Luke Lore, I knew that, and my awesome Uncle Tim. Friends with benefits level, John Sedorf, the great Phoenix Sisters Entertainment, Kelly, friend of the show and frequent collaborator, and her partner, Crayley, Brendan Myers, Corey and HD, and Matthew Keel. And last but certainly not least, the Secret Friends Super Squad. You know them, you love them. First, last on the dial, first in your hearts. The Nias family of the Twin Cities, Sean, Stella, and Henry. Very grateful for all of you. So if you want to see what all the fuss is about, again, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. Free 7-day trial. Stay on board for as little as $2 a month, and we appreciate you. Mwah!
Yes, and there might be a secret project coming with myself and Sean Nias in the upcoming weeks, so stay tuned for that.
Well, we are couched in secrecy, but what's not a big secret moving into this next segment is this could be the oldest title we've ever talked about. I don't know how far back we've gotten, but July of 1945 during World War II. What do we got going on here?
Well, it's essentially the end, like World War II is pretty much done at this point. So,
that's true. Yes,
yeah. My mom. This is older than my mom by 5 months, essentially. So this is Feature Comics. This is a book that features the Doll Man cooks a Crook's goose, but it also features like 85 characters, including Spinshaw, some type of pilot, Big Top, a weirdo clown, Poison Ivy looks like a kid mobster, Mickey Finn, cop, Swing Sisson, handsome guy, Lollapalooza, lady at large, Blimpy, fantasy genie, Rusty Ryan, Conan O'Brien's grandpa, and Perky,
Rusty must
very
be
racist stereotype looking character.
Oh, yeah, it took me a second there. Oh my gosh. Now the publisher of this opus, is this going back to DC or an imprint that just doesn't exist anymore?
Good question. Feature Comics. So if there's like any type of, they did 140 issues starting, let's see, that it started in 1939. Other than that, I don't know. It all used to be called formerly Feature Funnies.
Okay. 10
and
cents.
Featured,
yeah. 10
featured
cents.
the mass comic hero, The Clock.
The Clock. He always knew how to keep time. 10 cents must have been that was a comic price for over a decade after this, because the first issue of Fantastic Four in 1961 was 10 cents. Then almost immediately the standard price became 12 cents and so on and upwards from there. So but this was probably,
I'm gonna see how much 10 cents is.
Yeah.
It would be $1.72. So I hate to say this, but comics are definitely more than $1.72.
Yeah,
now.
inflation has gone far above and beyond. But do keep in mind a comic back in those days was printed on newsprint. It was of similar kind of quality physically, and then it was
Charlie,
just
it had 18 million characters and probably was 85 pages long.
It was probably this was probably like the once a quarter publication that had, like you said, like 75 pages or something ridiculous.
Exactly.
But yeah,
value.
Value, cramming in the value. Well, that's great. And if this exists, I would be morbidly curious to check it out. But somebody who was actually in their prime, as it were, when this book came out, was our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb, 45 years old at that point, as her birthday is Jan 1, 1900. But these days, she works for us. She's down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, as always, giving us the hottest scoops without the rest of it in the news. So let's go check that out. Let's go.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's Rumors and News. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. It's that time of year, Madam Webb, where you have nothing to do. So you go in and volunteer at schools. You're the person that stops the kids from getting hit by buses. Then you ask for a tip after you save them. So not exactly great, but you know what? You got to make a living.
You look like do you remember that episode of Simpsons when Homer got all his distant relatives around and asked each one of them what to do with the guy says, I get hit by cars for money. That's Madam Webb.
Well, at least she's not selling Lucy's to the kids.
Lucy's, oh God.
What a term.
Don't give her ideas. I certainly hope she doesn't listen to our show. Oh, not that we don't want all the listeners we can have. All right. Well, up first, we were just talking about the young lady starring in this new program was Ruth on Ozark. She also had a role in The Americans. You watched The Americans, didn't you? Great show that was on FX. No. Oh, Todd. Come on.
I've heard so much about it, I don't have to watch it, apparently.
You know what? It's funny. That is really what the entertainment world has turned into. If you get enough people that watch a show, get them to break it down for you, you're like, now I can move along. But
I know a lot of shows that like we're fans of it. They talk about it all the time. I'm like, I think I got enough of it.
You've absorbed. I do not have, because I didn't click on the link again, I do not have her name right in front of me. Do you have that up?
Julia Garner, not
Julia Garner.
Jennifer Garner.
No,
although maybe they're related.
I mean, vaguely look alike. I'm not sure. And she's also going to be a female version of the Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four film that comes out next year.
Perfect. But first, before she does that, she has to survive Apartment 7A, the prequel to 1968 Rosemary Baby. Essentially, she's a performer. She wants to break in, just like in every person that goes to New York. In 1965, she's an aspiring dancer who suffers an ankle injury. After moving into the original film's cursed Bamford Apartments building, she meets an all well-connected elderly couple, Diane Wiest and Kevin McNally, who promise her a second chance and making her dream come true.
Don't do it.
Maybe a certain deal with a D?
Well, not that D, but the devil.
Oh, I don't know. I was trying to
I don't know. Yeah, they're not getting into that kind of stuff. But
well, there's a D involved because there's always a baby.
Oh my goodness! Well, I only saw Rosemary's Baby within the last decade because I had never seen it previous to that.
I don't think I've seen the whole thing, but I've seen clips. I've seen the end of it, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's great. Yeah, Mia Farrow starred in that film. I don't remember anyone else who was in it, but it was
Roman Polanski made it, and he's still on the run, and I think he's in France. Yeah,
I think he ran there and stayed there, so he's not really on the run
he's
per
never
se.
Come back.
But he's not come back. Isn't he? Isn't it like an extradition thing or something? Or he's
correct. Yeah, he cannot. Yeah, I don't know how he's never been brought back, but
excommunicated.
Still makes movies though.
Yeah, but this is an original film streaming on Paramount Plus, which if you
is it a film or a TV series?
I think it's a film because it's rated R and they don't rate TV
okay, it's a
shows
prequel. Then it would be a prequel. Okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, prequel because I believe
sure, I'll take a prequel.
Yeah, why not? The original film was obviously set in contemporary times. You said it was 1968, so this is a few years prior to that. So yeah, I'm in. Yeah, Diane Wiest. I didn't peg her as Diane Wiest because I'm like, boy, that old lady sure looks familiar because I don't know if she was made up or simply that she's just simply aged and doesn't look a little bit different. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I thought Diane Wiest was a lot older, quite honestly, because she's always looked older in things.
Right. She's got an old face. I hate to say it in quite that fashion, but perhaps time has caught up with her face, maybe. But
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I'm totally on board. This is out later this month. Did I get like the end of September?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if this is kind of like this is just a recurring thing with this building where they seduce women to have the child of the Antichrist, but obviously the trailer shows that potentially baby's going to happen again. Right. And there was a made-for-TV sequel in 1976 on ABC called Look What's Happened to Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, geez.
And in 1997...
Look What's Happening, Rosemary's Baby?
Yeah, in 1997, the author wrote a Son of Rosemary, sequel to his original novel, 30 years later. And in 2014, a two-part, 4-hour modernization of the original movie aired on NBC.
I think I remember that last
Holy
one.
cow.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was a franchise unto itself. I thought, well, they made this movie, and it's a classic, and then now they're taking a stab at it. So this would be the first prequel then. So this is dialing the story backwards.
Looks like it, yeah. It's like, look who's talking.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
I know you're like, look what's happening, like the happening, what's happening.
Look who's shouting at the devil.
It's rerun.
Yeah, exactly. Do the rerun dance. What's that?
Yeah. So it's spooky season.
Yeah,
so we are going to get a lot of spooky announcements.
Yep.
I am ready for Shocktober. What's our official title for September? Is it Scaretember?
September?
That's a good one. September. I like that, Charlie. We'll go with that.
It just came to me.
So there's August now. So we can do every month. So
oh my gosh. You know who could do it though? Our wonderful listeners. Hit us up on Threads or send us an email to secretfriendsunite@gmail.com. What are your 12 we named 3. So what are your 9 other scary months? I'd love to have
scary. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or hit us up on tag us in comments, Discord, and DM us if you would like to.
I love it. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah. All right, so moving on. So we have a trailer for the new Sonic film, which is coming out at the end of this year. I will admit, I'm a little scared off Sonic simply because it was my late son's favorite thing. So I've not seen the second one. I know people loved it. It was very successful. This trailer was cute. No, it looks like this is the team up movie. So you're getting, because I know Knuckles is the Idris Elba character, right?
Yep. And he was in the last film.
Yeah. And he also had his own ancillary program that Adam Pally was in on Paramount Plus.
Very cute. It was like a buddy comedy. Yeah, it was a good one. Right. I liked it.
And so that leans on the fact that now they do have to form a super team and put their efforts together to throw off Shadow, a new big bad, like a Winter Soldier type of character, Thanos type of character.
He's created in a test tube. The government
and Doomsday.
Yeah, voiced by Keanu Reeves. Even better. I love it.
I did not pick up on that. My bad. But they find out that they, even teaming up, they can't beat him. And so they have to go back to the well and do the teaming up with the bad guy, a la the X-Men with Magneto. And you get Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik. Was Robotnik not in the last film? Because I know
he was. Jim Carrey's like, that's my last movie I'm going to do. And we're like, what?
Right.
No.
Yeah. Somebody said, here's a paycheck. So you have this big, so they tease that big team up, and they have an even bigger team up with Grandpa Robotnik at the end, right? Wasn't that his dad or his twin? And it was Jim Carrey again.
Yeah, it's his dad. It's his dad. So reunion of things. Yeah. And these movies are far better than they really deserve to be, but they're enjoyable and they're a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah, well, you see James Marsden back as the sheriff, as the human. Is his wife? You don't see his wife in it. So is his wife still around, or is that just?
She was in Knuckles for a little bit, but James Marsden wasn't. He was on vacation or something.
Oh, okay, gotcha. We only had the budget for her.
His wife's name is Tika Sumpter. She is in this.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, guys. I didn't know if there was a disaster and that's why because like I said, I didn't, No,
they didn't kill off the humans, but you know what?
Yeah.
They probably will eventually.
Yeah.
We don't need to pay you.
Exactly. So anyway, I missed the second one. I don't know that I'll see this one again. It's kind of a thing for me, but it looks like a lot of fun. So based on the fact that it was a fun trailer and my experience with the first one and the fact that I'm sure the second one was a lot of fun, I think this will be a blast. So big thumbs up. And again, did I see end of the year?
December 20th. So
there you go.
Honestly, kids are going to be on Christmas vacation. Once they do, it's a light film.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it could be the end of the year hit.
Just in time for the Oscars. It can be ready for the Oscars, Charlie.
Absolutely. So speaking of box office, Todd, we have our big box office wrap up in our next episode. So when you listen to us next week, we will reveal with John as our special guest how we all did. And I know a little birdie tells me who the winner might be. I'm just saying. Anyway.
You shall see, or maybe we're canceling it.
Oh,
there's fraud, fake. There was fake election.
It was all fake.
That's all I'll say. Yeah, it was fake.
Yep, Horizon Part 1 was definitely the number one film of the summer.
Yep.
Oh man! All right, moving right along. We get a teaser of like 30 to 45 seconds. It was very short. And of something that I'm sure is a real burr in the saddle of the House of Mouse. The fact that through bits and pieces, a lot of their properties are becoming public domain. And I know we've talked about this on the show previously. Steamboat Willie, 1927?
1928.
Is not considered to be what is licensed by Disney, which is the modern version of Mickey Mouse and his friends and blah, blah, blah. So Steamboat Willie, not owned by Disney, therefore
well, it's in the public domain now because your copyright, trademark, whatever the official term is, only lasts so long, and Disney is finally getting hit by it.
So this has also happened with the Winnie the Pooh movie, and the Slash films came out of that. And then what's the other one we talked about?
Peter Pan is coming out for this universe.
Was it? No, it was Bambi. We talked about a trailer for Bambi, like a Bambi horror movie. Yeah, not that long ago. So anyway, this is Screamboat Willie. And we don't actually see the titular character. We see a young woman. They're on something that looks like a tugboat or the Staten Island Ferry or something at night. A lot of shadows, a lot of screaming. Violence has happened. But then you see the shadow of what is very obviously Steamboat Willie, whatever it is, looming in the distance over this man, crawling through a pool of his own blood. So it looks horrific, but I'm on board. This looks more fun than the Winnie the Pooh thing, to be honest with you. Yeah,
because they've already had two of those, and then they brought in more of those characters. Very grotesque. And apparently Steamboat Willie is 100% in-camera practical creature.
Oh, like, well, I guess that wasn't necessarily true with the Five Nights at Freddy's, though they looked like they were suits, but maybe
not CGI
in there. Yeah, I don't really recall. So anyway, this looks adorable, and again, I don't have this on the screen. This is dropping pretty quick.
Yeah. Oh, they also had a Grinch one called Mean One. That was another one that came to. And cool part, Art the Clown, who's in that Terrifier series, which I have not watched any of those, but I know those are supposed to be grotesque. He is playing Steamboat Willie. So it's kind of like the guy who plays Jason,
in a
you
suit.
get famous for it.
Oh my!
Coming to a Comic-Con to see you.
Yeah, you're very low rent local Comic-Con that gets people. Like that.
I don't see a release date, do I?
Well, I mean, it's just a teaser, so maybe it's not something that we're going to see soon, which is a shame because we're right at the
direct to VOD. I assume it's not going to be in theaters.
Well, then it'll be on Shudder or something, and that's fine. And probably saves those people a ton of bucks. So that is okay. All right. Moving along, Todd, Green Lantern is your world. So I just found this rumor just now, and it is a rumor, so don't pin me with it. But take it away. What we got going on here?
So I had not heard this, so this is kind of cool. Josh Brolin, rumored to have been offered Hal Jordan role in DC Lantern series.
Oh my. So that is not rolling. I mean, it seems like they've been talking about that for an awfully long time, but then the strike and stuff, I suppose, would nudge it into the background. But
yeah, it's interesting because Josh Brolin has played Cable. He's played Thanos.
Yep.
He has played Jonah Hex in the Jonah Hex film, which I never saw. I mean, I imagine it's perfectly dumb with Megan Fox. But it would be neat to have Hal Jordan be an older Hal Jordan, and then have Jon Stewart be like the young, with maybe Guy, because we know Guy Gardner is going to be Nathan Fillion.
Right.
So I think it would kind of be to have Hal be more gruff, confident.
So it'd be like a buddy cop. Like, what was that? A Hollywood homicide or something? The one that was way back when it was Harrison Ford and like Josh Hartnett.
Josh Duhamel.
Yeah.
Josh
Hartnett. Exactly. So you have the old cop and the young cop, and then the
Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith, and Men in Black.
Exactly. Exactly. So this would be fun. So it does say productions on Lanterns is currently set to commence in Q1 of 25 in the UK. Potentially tracking for a 2026 release. So
Jon Stewart, they're looking for a black actor between 27 and 35 to play Jon Stewart, the younger Lantern. Okay.
Yeah, and they do say Nathan Fillion's Guy Garner, which you already mentioned, will debut in Superman, and that will be out next summer. So
because that could be fun. I mean, Nathan Fillion playing like a cocky guy, Josh Brolin just too old for this shit. Even though they're probably the same age, right? Are they about the same age?
Yeah, but I mean, that's a good question. I mean, just because Josh Brolin has been on the scene so much longer, but he came on as a teen, and he's from a showbiz family. His dad being Mr. Barbra Streisand. So I don't know because Nathan
born in 1968, so he is about 7 years older than me. So that puts him at 56.
Right.
And
what about
Nathan Fillion? Sorry, now people know how old I am. No.
Yeah. Oh, we tell people that all the time. Plus,
he was born in 71, so he is 4 years older than me. So that puts him at 53.
So only 3 years younger than Hartnett. Yeah. But again, it's one of those like Sean Connery and Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. They are 12 years apart in age, so not exactly a gargantuan amount that would make sense for that. So.
Or like Wilford Brimley was 22 when he played a senior citizen in Cocoon.
Exactly. Oh my God! I posted it because April shared this with me yesterday. I think I shared it with you and John. What stars of shows from the 70s and 80s look like at that age, and like Red Fox when he was in that show was my age. I'm 48 and he looks like he's 68. It's just like
exactly.
Oh my God. Oh,
Flo, I think Flo and out that show Flo looked like she was about in her late 40s, and she was probably like 32. I'm like, what happened to people?
Well, the Golden Girls were all even because the mother was made up, they were all in their 50s, and we're almost.
I thought some of them were even in their late 40s. So it's like,
right, I know, yikes. All right, well, we wrap it up with we're still talking about DC Comics. Everybody knows that James Gunn is now the Paul Feige of DC land, the main dude. But he tossed out there a hypothetical. Again, I'm playing in the worlds of rumors and hypotheticals for a Batman and Superman team up movie. Now it's a very raw nerve for a lot of us because I know you and I liked Man of Steel, and so that came out in 2013. BVS, Batman versus Superman: The Dawn of Justice, came out in 2016, and it was just a very, well, I think a lot of us outside of the Snyder super fans, the Snyder heads, or whatever the hell it is they call themselves, felt like a very forced chance to compete with what Marvel had going on, and it just really fell apart, and gave us just it culminating with the Flash film, which was just a total disaster. So next summer is Superman. I personally, April and I were talking about this yesterday, and I mentioned to you and John that I was kind of fan casting the box office for 2025, thinking I really think Superman's going to take the gold, but it does have the Flash working against it because that was such a huge bomb. But then again, they're really, in some ways they're similar, some ways they're not. So the prospect of them doing this, like if Gunn does have a Superman Batman movie, for me it would have to be all the way down the road. We're talking 5 to 10 years. He would want. So anyway, I started out saying the hypothetical part of it would be simply to call it The World's Finest, which is one of the oldest of DC team-up books, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that seems like that would be perfect.
They continue to use World's Finest. They've brought it back many times, and it truly is a Superman and Batman working together. They're not fighting. They're not talking about their mothers. Those things.
Well, they are characters that so greatly complement each other as being the yin and the yang. Superman, very virtuous, all powerful. Batman, very dark and analytical, and he's just a regular dude who's, he doesn't even have the super soldier serum. He's just a dude, but he's very smart and analytical, and he's a ninja. And Superman is, I'm virtuous and blah blah blah. I don't color outside the lines, and I'm an alien, and kryptonite is the only thing and magic is the only thing that can take me down. So this would be great. Yeah, this would be a good take, but don't give it to us until we've had everything that comes before it, not building it up to everything that comes after it. I think that would be bad. Because they introduced Batfleck in BVS, and that just didn't track.
It was antagonistic, and we don't need another, we meet the first time we have to fight each other. We don't need that anymore. Right. It just, that is the oldest trope that is just kind of lame. I think you make them peers, and it sounds like Superman already exists in this world. We assume Batman does too. There are known quantities. They probably encountered each other, and then it's just really them establishing a relationship, and they are complementary, and something brings them together to have to work together, maybe begrudgingly work together, because they have obviously opposing views on things. But that's what I want. I don't want super friends, but I want a little bit more complementary, some chiding and some history where they trust each other, but they don't necessarily, see eye to eye.
Right. Can't see eye.
Don't kill them the first time they meet in the first movie. Yeah, we're killing you off.
I'm going into my healing coma. Oh my goodness. Yes. All right. Well, as I said, it's kind of a weird week for the news. We had to kind of scramble to come up with some stuff together, but some interesting stuff here for sure. But that is the end of the news. Time to get out that Fuber app, that feeble Uber app. The Geek Easy awaits. Up pulls that nasty cab with the AM radio playing, and in between selections of that great AM gold on Yacht Rock Radio, I hear this advertisement.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover bands playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So I failed, did not watch any of the Rings of Power Season 2. I definitely will. It is my, now that I've got my CPAP machine actually sleeping better, which is a win.
Yay!
I will be working out on the elliptical. So that is my way to absorb more TV. So I will be doing that. So
the elliptical is the thing that it's like skiing, right? Does it have the handles?
It's basically like, it's a stepper plus arms. So kind of like that.
Yeah, so it's like what cross country skiing. That's what you're going.
A little different. It's a little more like doing steps, but you pull. So, but that's a good way for me to get a workout in the morning. Also do some strength stuff too. So good times, ready to go. But I did watch something that a lot of people have been claiming it's really good, and I won't spoil anything. And that is Terminator 0. Ooh. It's on Netflix. There's 8 episodes. They are 30 minutes each. It is an anime, basically, but with a American producer. and it's behind the Terminator team, like James Cameron and others are producing this. So it's
Nice.
I don't know if call it canon, but this is an interesting take on it. And I've only watched the first episode, so I won't give you too much, but essentially it feels like a very parallel type of Terminator story we've got before, but there is a little bit different mix. So this is about a father who is basically producing an artificial intelligence to rival Skynet called Kokoro. He lives in Japan, so basically it's for a Japanese company.
Oh, got it.
And yeah, so that is kind of like the present day, which they don't specify a time. Maybe they did, but it's basically not modern times. It's like
Yeah.
90s, something like that. Because there's also a parallel path to 2022 and the future where everything has gone to crap.
Oh,
So,
gotcha. Yeah, that
yeah.
was I'm trying to remember the timeline in the original Terminator. It was 2029 is when Kyle
Mhm.
Reese came back from. And Skynet, because at the end of August every year somebody drops a meme, and of course we just passed it. Like Skynet became self-aware on August 27th at 2:32 a.m. Blah blah blah. So yes, but then with the Terminator films they had to change things as time went by because this thing and that thing. So
Mhm.
really, what you're talking about is it may seem like it could be the same. Could be any one of the 8 timelines that are part of this because every movie ended up having a different timeline.
Exactly. So this time it's a little different is though you've got a competing AI against
Yeah.
Skynet. You also then have a female protagonist in the future, played by Rosario Dawson as the voice of her.
Very nice. Very nice.
And then Timothy Oliphant plays the Terminator in this.
Oh, gotcha.
And I will say the opening sequence is pretty awesome between
Yeah.
our protagonist and the Terminator. Very fun to watch. Very cool. But I am curious how this plays differently than other takes we've gotten on Terminator. Is it always going to be the same? Is this a specific spin on it? We
Right.
had the TV show. Was it the Sarah Connor Chronicles, which a lot of people
Right.
loved, but I
Yeah.
didn't.
I
Yeah.
watched it. I'm not super sure that I ended it, but yeah, no, I enjoyed it. Wasn't Shirley Manson from Garbage, the singer, wasn't she the Terminator or one of the Terminators in that show? Or am I just totally misremembering?
Sure, why not?
Why not? I like it. Very good.
It was
Yes.
the 90s or maybe
Yeah.
2000s. I don't know.
2000s, but set in the 90s for some reason. Yeah, it was just it
Okay,
was weird
makes
when I
sense.
saw it.
Yeah.
Why not? I like it. All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
so it's
Yeah.
short, only 8
Yeah.
episodes long, 30
Nice.
minutes each. So check it out. I mean,
Yeah.
I will say this, there is a little bit of what I find with anime and a English version is typically the voice director isn't always the strongest. So the performance of the characters feels a little bit dry.
Yeah.
And I don't think the localization is that strong from it feels completely American. This feels like an anime with good voice actors, but some of the things they're saying just feels like, a little bit
Doesn't
stilted.
really nail it. Oh, okay. What are
Could
you
be
gonna
better.
do? What
Exactly.
What are you gonna
Yeah.
do?
Yeah. And then I'm not sure if I've talked about the show before, but it's called Not Dead Yet. It is
I feel
Did I?
like April's watching it, so I've heard of it, but I haven't
Okay.
watched it.
So this is a very cute standard sitcom on ABC. So if you know what you're getting, you know what you're getting.
Yep.
But this is this girl. Her name is Nell. She is a writer who is basically disgraced. Was engaged, got broke up by a British chef. Was overseas writing and things like that. Comes back to the U.S. Can't find a job, so she ends up writing obituaries for a San
Right.
Francisco newspaper.
And it's the star, it's not America Ferrera.
No,
who was
it
Ugly Betty,
is
but it was and
Rodriguez.
she starred in another show, didn't she? She's like
I'm
super
gonna look up the
familiar
cast.
with it.
It's Gina Rodriguez. She has been in a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
It's got Hannah Simone, who played the very attractive woman in New Girl.
Yeah.
Yep. It's got Lauren Ash, who plays the boss's daughter, who runs the newspaper. She
Yeah.
was in Superstore playing like the tough manager. Always one of the best people.
Right. Yeah. Dina.
Yeah.
Was that Dina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, Dina's in it too. So she plays the different type. She plays like almost like a Cruella de Vil type like character, very hoity-toity but very funny.
Yeah.
So it's a very cute show, very very cute show. But the premise is Nell ends up hitting her head and basically can see the people she's writing the obituary about. Essentially, she has to kind of work her problems through the ghosts that she's seeing. Whether it's real or not, we don't know. And that's kind of the premise of the whole show. I liked it a lot. There was a Martin Mull was a ghost for a couple of episodes. Nice. And I've really enjoyed it. It's grown on me. It's got Ray Romano's brother in
Brad
Garrett plays the boss, who's kind of like a Trump-esque type guy, aloof kind of thing. It's good cast, very fun. It's the type of sitcom I think is just very easy to hop into and just have a good time. So I like that one, but it's got the hook. So if you're looking for a little bit lighter, a comedy, I'm always looking for a new comedy. There you go. Okay, it's on ABC and Hulu.
Gotcha. And Disney Plus by extension.
Actually, maybe it does go to Disney Plus rather than Hulu. I don't know.
I feel like, and I'm not going to stand on this, that most Hulu content bleeds over, but like you and I have talked about, when you have all of this stuff in one place on Disney Plus and no great way to differentiate it, you can't find things, and that sucks. So just always use the search function on your Roku and say the name of the thing.
Although if you don't play for Hulu, it doesn't come to your Disney Plus.
Oh, right. You got to bundle it. So speaking of something that's not Disney Plus and not Hulu, over on Amazon Prime, they drop these little original movies. We find them purely by happenstance because they're not really greatly promoted. But I like John Cena in the current climate the same way I loved Arnold Schwarzenegger movies when I was a kid. Even though John Cena is more deliberately funny than Arnie was, but John Cena does these via straight to streamer movies, and he's got one with Awkwafina set about 5 years in the future in Los Angeles amid this big depression. There's a state lottery in California where the winner gets their entire jackpot unless someone murders them in the 24-hour period from when they've won to whatever, till the time has gone past, but they cannot use they can't use a gun to kill them. So there's, the movie kicks off where you see a lottery winner. It's Sean William Scott, Stifler from the American Pie movies, running and fighting all these people who are trying to kill him. And ultimately he doesn't make it. Sorry, that you could have seen that coming even if you watched the first 5 minutes. But then you segue to Awkwafina.
So I have a clarifying question.
Yeah.
So if whoever kills that person, they win money.
They get all the money.
But they don't it's not like no, I've got it now. Someone can kill me.
Only one person, only one death per day, and it's legal.
So it's like a bounty on the one person, and you're free. Okay,
exactly correct. Yeah. So, we segue to Awkwafina, who ends up being the next winner, and then Cena comes into it shortly thereafter because he offers a protection service, and then Simu Liu, Shang-Chi, comes into it as another protection service guy. So you get these stars of Shang-Chi reunited, but are they on the same side? You'll have to watch to find out. But anyway, it was fun. It was not a lot of heavy lifting on the thought process side, but it was a good time. No, I enjoyed it. And again, it's on Amazon Prime.
So comedic murder.
It's on Amazon Prime, which means you very likely have access to it. So, all right, quick bites. Dark Wind is a show that was on AMC, based off of and there was 2 seasons of 6 each. This was based on 2 different novels by Tony Hillerman, who's an author that my mother loves. That's as much as I know about Tony Hillerman. Set in the 1970s in the Four Corners area, so where 4 states touch each other. I think it's Utah, Oklahoma, Wyoming, Arizona. Hit me up if I got that wrong. And it's set on a Native American reservation, and it is suspense intrigue through the eyes of a Navajo tribal sheriff department. The lead character is, if you remember back to, what was the sequel to, starring Ewan McGregor, the sequel to The Shining was Dr.
Professor
Sleep.
Dr. Sleep.
He was the Native American evil character in that. He was part of the
Okay.
yeah, he was part of the bad band that was led by, I think it was Rose the
Still need
Hat.
to watch that movie.
Yeah, it's I would. It's on my Fandango. Help yourself. But good flick. But yeah, this was because it's 6 episodes per season in 2 seasons, and it's on Netflix. We blasted through it, absolutely loved it. I said to my dad, "Hey, this is right up your alley." He says, "As a matter of fact, I'm watching it right now anyway." My mom had already seen it, so great for the old folks. And again, it's set in the 70s, so it's got that great old folks feel to it. But very cool. Yeah, very cool. Lots of twists and turns. Jerry Ryan.
So not supernatural, though. It's
Yeah.
really straight to the vest. It's a murder mystery type of thing.
Correct. Yeah. Jerry Ryan is in the second season. Character actor John Deal, who you'll recognize from other stuff, is in it. So yeah, good stuff. I would highly recommend it. And finally, read a new comic. Every once in a while, I do participate in the buying an actual comic and not waiting for it on Marvel Unlimited. And we talked about Aliens versus Avengers, I feel like a little while back. I will it's available on Kindle or Comixology, or at your local comic shop if that is your forte. Myself with traveling, I tend to read on my iPad. It's just easier. I will kind of call bullshit on the covers of this, because the cover of it has your classic Avengers lineup: Iron Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, and on the inside of it, only Captain Marvel is there. You have an aged version of Bruce Banner, and you have an aged version of Valera Richards, who is the young daughter of obviously Reed and Sue from the Fantastic Four. But what's happened, this book kicks off in distant space. It's the Kree versus a starfaring Wakandan culture, arriving too late to stop the Kree from launching a xenomorph attack on Earth. And the attack is completely successful. Most of Earth's population is decimated by the xenomorphs, but we go forward, I think, 30 years, and Miles Morales also appears, and that's the big at the moment at the end here is a fight and a connection between the xenomorphs and Miles Morales. So I hate the bait and switch, but I liked the book, so I'd recommend the book. And it's supersized, so it was $7.99, like 65 pages, but it's bi-monthly, so the next one's not out until November, which is weird. I think that's really you don't run into a lot of bi-monthly books anymore that aren't annuals, which would just be once a year. So
this is Marvel doesn't really have a title for like their
the imprint
worlds or anything like that.
They call
alternate reality.
They call everything what if. So, but this is not called that. But you're
interesting.
Yeah. Your mind is just simply assuming that that's exactly what this is, because that is exactly what this is. So yeah. This was fun. I would recommend it. I did also. I'm gonna read West Coast Avengers when it comes out in November, so I did sign up for that. So you'll be hearing about that from me. Also wrapped up the current jumbo-sized issue of Amazing Spider-Man, so I'm caught up on Amazing Spider-Man. So, trying to read some comics when I'm on the go for work. So, that's it for me, and that is it for the Geek Easy. Todd, time to get out that Air Qantas app and get our usual flight down to the land down under. Hologram Tina and the mutants await for us to take on a really crazy documentary this week. So let's do it.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week, we're talking about a doc that Charlie recommended. And we decided how much fun could this be, because we survived the 70s and 80s and early 90s, where a little company called Canon Films came to rise and made a bunch of films. And this was really about that company and their background. The doc was called Electric Boogaloo, The Wild Untold Story of Canon Films from 2014. There's also a competing documentary called The Go-Go Boys, released 3 months before
earlier.
this.
Yes, it was the grace to do it. But yeah, the Canon Group, just to give you a little context, I followed through. It was an American group of companies which was originally or was ultimately purchased by two Israeli gentlemen. It was Golan and Globus, if I get the name wrong, who are just bigger than life personalities. But between 1967 and 1994, they produced dozens, if not hundreds, of B-grade films, some of which you might not even really realize are films that you are familiar with. So I watched this a month or so ago, and I was spawned on doing this after I caught a clip of the movie Life Force, which was one of those that they made the mid 80s. Todd had already seen it. We did a little back and forth about that, but I've been enamored with several of their films over the years. So I thought, and this was, it's a longer doco. It's available on both Prime and Tubi if you want to check it out. Though we'll talk about it extensively. It's worth watching. It is filled with clips from their films, many of which are filled with graphic violence and graphic nudity. So you will absolutely not want to watch this with anyone who is sensitive to such things. But for us adults, it's a rip-roaring good time. So, Todd, how do you want to handle this? We talked about approaching this a couple of different ways.
I think we should talk a little bit about kind of the way this documentary does. So basically, it's kind of like the rise and fall, like many documentaries. Basically, you get these two brothers who are trying to get success. They basically become like the best filmmakers or most successful filmmakers from Israel.
Prolific.
Yeah, they procure the rights from basically this Canon group, which owns like movie rights for many different things from this company from 1969. And then they decide to essentially create like almost a factory-like movie studio system where things are cheap and essentially done on the fly. They start off their first big film, was essentially a remake of a movie they did called Lemon Popsicle?
Yeah, Lemon Popsicle was in Israel. And it was interesting because they made a comparison. They said, well, there's 3.5 million people in Israel at that time. 1.75 million people saw this film in the theater.
Yes.
So do the math on that. That is an overwhelming majority. That is a big number.
It's a Porky's sex romp.
Right. And you're right. They remade it practically shot for shot once they were over here in America, and it starred Diane Franklin and Loris Monson, who were teen actors at that time. That one factors into my list a little bit later on. They did. Yeah, exactly. So they came over, and it was Mahakam Golan and Yoram Globus. So I don't think you said they were brothers. I don't think they were brothers.
No, they're cousins. Cousins. And then later on, there was Golan and Globus. There was a different production company there. And then they went off. And, the thing about it was Menachem Globus was essentially, he was the film guy, the idea guy. Yeah. His cousin was the finance guy. So they'd come together. And I love the fact that Menachem was such a passionate guy about his love of film was paramount. You could tell it there, but he had no idea about budgets, how to fund things.
You're writing, story, breaking a story, casting, acting, directing. Yeah.
No. But everything had to be cut quick. Lots of edits. Cuts has to be short. He would basically, everything was understaffed. There was no stunt people at times.
It was, and extending on to some of their production people. There's a great bit from Marina Sirtis, who's Counselor Troy on Star Trek: The Next Generation, but young in her career, she did more than one film for these guys, and she was going on and on about, I was in one of the Death Wish films, and they were doing this rape scene, and they were trying to light me, and I had to lay in this cold, I was laying freezing, half naked, with him trying to light me, and the production guy put his coat over me, and the producer screamed at him, says, well, I can't light her with the coat on, take it off. So it's just horrible working conditions, obviously. No union rep, no nothing, because everything was done for nickels. Yeah.
No. And I forgot, and it was funny because what was great about this is obviously both of these gentlemen have passed away. So they weren't involved in the movie, but you got directors, you got former associates, executives, actors, writers, critics, all speaking on this. So you got a lot of stars from the films. You got, I thought it was great because it had Elvira, Cassandra Peterson was in there too. And she was talking about one scene she did where she's like, I was doing scenes that stunt people would have done, and I don't know how I didn't die.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she did this one because it was in the King Solomon's Mines with was it Richard Attenborough who was the star of that? It was their riff.
No,
on
Richard Chamberlain,
Richard
yeah,
Chamberlain.
and
It was
Sharon Stone.
Yeah, who was loathed by all of the people in it. But it was their riff on Indiana Jones, but they didn't, because it came out, subsequently in
Didn't have the
in
budget.
Middle Ages.
No.
Didn't have the budget, didn't have the script. But they made two of them, so they obviously thought one of them wasn't enough.
No, I love the comment, like Malcolm was like, "Give me the stone lady, give me the stone lady," and they're like, "Who is he talking about?" So they got Sharon Stone when he wanted what's her name, Turner,
Kathleen Turner, right?
Kathleen Turner from Romancing the Stone.
Yeah, there you go. And that was long before Sharon Stone had her heyday, and Basic Instinct was in the early 90s.
Oh yeah, because I think it was that movie, but before that it was Total Recall. That was like her first big film.
Right. Yeah. 1990. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the fun parts about this was they wanted to go after stars. So they thought it was a big deal. So, but they ended up going after sequels to or making sequels from like original movies that were successful, but they never made a sequel. One of those was Death Wish.
And they turned it into 4 films, didn't they?
Four films. Yeah.
And it was funny. Alex Winter, who was, I can never keep it straight who was Bill and who was Ted in that movie.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So he, but yeah, he was in it, and so he's featured very heavily in this because he was one of the thugs in it. But it's just Charles Bronson, who was obviously a star in the 70s, and now we're in the early 80s, just mowing people down with all types of guns and throwing knives into people's eye sockets, and just absolutely everything. You're chewing it up because it's fun to watch, but it's absolutely absurd. Yeah, so it was just, and this went on and on and on, all things that go up have to come down, and they took
I was gonna say another one that was there was Tobe Hooper was hired by them several times. He was director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He's done a lot of other things, and they hired him and they said, let's make a sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I'm like,
my God.
It's so crazy because Tobe Hooper wanted to make like a comedic version of the film, and he did, and they even made the poster or the movie billboard was essentially it basically took the characters from Texas, and made them into the Breakfast Club, which was hilarious. He's like, and then Menachem Globus didn't get it. So he's like, what is this? And it was a weird movie. Dennis Hopper's in it. It's over the top. It's a weird movie.
I have not seen it, but now
I haven't either.
Yeah. I definitely want to. But this was absolutely fascinating, some of the stuff that these guys managed to pull off. Just spawning eras all the way up to doing superhero. They did a film, was their most successful film getting into the later 80s was Cobra with Sylvester Stallone, which is a great corny movie. Him and
absolutely
Bridget Nielsen getting together, and then the death rattle of Chris Reeves' Superman and Superman 4. But we'll talk about that when we get
and I mean they did. I mean, so the problem was that they had aspirations to be a big studio and they didn't have the budget, but they did do some competent films. They even talked about, I didn't know this, they did A Cry in the Dark, which was a Meryl Streep film with Sam Neill about the case about the woman whose baby was eaten by dingoes, which you remember from the Seinfeld quote. There were some other ones. They did a movie about the hostages in Israel or on the plane. They also did one called A Runaway Train, which got really good reviews. So for every good movie they did like 20 other crappy ones.
It was one step forward, like 5 steps back. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah. And their biggest probably fall was they started way overpaying the stars, and they got Wait.
I lost you.
Oh, sorry. They paid. Yeah. So they started paying celebrities way too much to be in their films, and they paid Sylvester Stallone $13 million to be in Over the Top.
Oh my God. Which, let's face it, and I can't believe I left that off my list. That's a great flick.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed that one with the Kenny Loggins soundtrack. Oh, good stuff. But yeah, it was a thing for its time. But yeah, to wrap up this part of it, all things that go up must come down. They pushed too far. They got overextended. And finally, the great duo broke apart. And their last thing where this wraps up is their competition between both of them making a movie about the forbidden dance, the lambada. Did you notice in the clips who the star of one of those films was? It was Evil Jan from The Office, Melinda Hardin, as a very young
What?
woman. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was her lambadaing. So I know, isn't it crazy? So but yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. So did you want to go through talk about some films now?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, they at the end of the movie, it was great because you watch the post credit scenes. They do talk about it.
Yeah.
They have things about their legacy, and they said no one really mourned the death or end of these people because they just were horrible at their business practices. Didn't treat anybody well. It was a factory. They even talked about the fact that we don't cater lunches. We'll take food off of someone's desk at the office and then offer it to people at a office meeting.
Oh, look, here's a hot dog. Oh,
exactly. Here's the Chinese food I had. Let's eat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So good times, though. I mean, hey, it's a story that can only be told in the 80s and 70s. So there we go. So Charlie and I are each going to talk about our top 10 canon films. I'll make sure you get the Wikipedia entry for this doco so you can see the films they were involved in, and all the celebrities that were involved with this.
A great number of them can be found on Tubi, because when I was watching this the first time, every time they talk about a movie, I'd go to Just Watch, I'd find it, and I'd add it to my list on Tubi. I don't think I'll ever watch many of them because I tried watching one of them and I couldn't take it and turned it off. They're really that bad. But yeah, so I split my top 10. I don't know how you want to do this. I had put them in two columns: absurdly fun and absurdly bad, largely based on the trailer. Some of these films I've seen and some of them I haven't. So do you want to do, I'll do a good, you do a good, and then we'll go back until we
mine are going to be mixed bag. So you go one, I'll do one, and we'll go from there. Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, my number one great film, and this is actually, it's two films, but I consider it to be a duology, would be Breakin' and Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo, thus the name of the doco. Both made in 1984. Breakin' came out in January, Feb, and it was such a big hit, they raced to make a second film that came out in the fall of 1984. And the two gentlemen who were the stars, I'm not going to try to quote their names. I know the guy who played Shabba-Doo, who was not the other guy, Turbo was the other. Turbo was the dark-skinned gentleman.
Was the one guy named Boogaloo, and the other was Shabba-Doo Boogaloo?
Shabba-Doo Boogaloo. Yeah, so Shabba-Doo Boogaloo was a light-skinned guy. He did make the point that Breakin' 2 was a cartoon. And they also made the point that Lucinda Dickey, who played Kelly, who was the white girl, that she was really disrespected on staff. Shabba-Doo just did not care for her, always let her know from the word go. She was a classic dancer, but was not a break dancer. So there's a lot of tension. But you know what? They left it all on the screen. It was beautiful. It's true that the second film is made like a caricature. It's very ridiculous with like Turbo doing the dance, which Dave Chappelle spoofed with, the broom, and then him in the room where they actually show you that it was a room built on
it rotated.
Tilt, so he's rotating around. But again, if you're a child of the 80s, you enjoy these, you love these, and it's a ton of fun. So yeah, so that's my number one. How about you?
Oh, wow. So number one, I think it has to be Life Force. Yeah, absurdly fun. It's just a crazy science fiction film. I love the era of the film. It's got Patrick Stewart in a scene with it. Lots of nudity.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mathilda May, they estimated at least 90 to 95% of her screen time was her fully frontally nude back to front. So lots of butts, lots of stuff that's on the other side.
It's just a weird science fiction movie that deals with vampires and zombies and end of the world, but it is a fun film. So it's my top number one fun canon film.
Absolutely correct. All right, I'll bounce it back. That was my number two, so we're going to take a jump forward to what was my number three. And again, it's not in such a strict order, but I mentioned the swan song of the very we'll call it sliding scale of quality of the 4 Superman films, was the final Superman film in 1987, which was called Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. Interesting concept. Superman finally decides to bring about world peace on Earth by personally assembling every nuclear weapon and throwing it into the sun. Well, naturally, Gene Hackman, returning as Lex Luthor, and his nephew, played by a very young Jon Cryer, so just Ducky or whatever, find a way to put Superman's hair in there or something. When he throws all the nuclear material into the sun, it creates a supervillain called Nuclear Man, who comes back, he's got bag lady nails, kind of like Sabretooth, and scratches Superman, depowers him. But all the stuff with the special effects, like, Nuclear Man picks up the Statue of Liberty and completely without breaking it, throws it at Superman. Superman has to catch it and carry it back up again and put it back in place. Of course, it doesn't get broken. All of it is just, it's as bad as the special effects in Alien 3, which we talked about last week.
Yes.
And, the storyline, I think Margot Hemingway shows up as a romantic rival to Lois Lane. Was that Margot Hemingway? It was one of them.
It was Margot Hemingway, or one of the Hemingways.
Yeah, it was a Hemingway. One of the female Hemingways, not Ernest.
Yes.
I'm sure he was dead. But yeah, great, but awful. And yeah, this is what killed that franchise. Christopher Reeve didn't want to do Superman again, especially after Superman 3. But this was his brainchild. But it was, again, poorly executed because I think the budget was $17 million in 1986 dollars. And they made Star Wars for 10 and still somehow managed to have groundbreaking effects 10 years earlier.
And that was 10 years earlier. Yeah, exactly, a little inflation. Yeah.
I just don't feel like inflation was what was really working against this.
You didn't see like the special effects of Superman get better over time, is what I will say. It kind of stagnated in 78. Yeah.
Exactly.
So Charlie, that would be one of my picks, but that would be in like that were bad, not even fun for me. I was like, oh, you killed it. You killed them. My God. So dumb.
Yeah. That's a fair review. All right. Well, give me a good one then.
So I'm going to go with one. I don't know if you saw it, but I saw this one actually in the theater as a kid, and that is Hercules.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness. Lou Ferrigno playing Hercules. I don't even know if they dubbed his voice. They might have.
I noted this one as well, and I think it was on my 5 worst, but it ended up getting swapped out. But the effects in this one were beyond the pale of it looked like it was made with Play-Doh and the laser pointer lights that you might use for a cat. It was
funny. He fought a bear. He threw it up in the star, became an Ursa Minor. All the bosses. It basically covered like Hercules. His 10. 10 tasks or 10 chores that Hercules had to do to become a god. But he fought like robot versions of these creatures, which was weird. Kind of felt like a throwback to like other movies at the time with like Bubo and
I like Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, Clash of Titans. So, but it was just so silly. It was fun. We had sexy ladies and Lou Ferrigno, playing Hercules. So to me, it was fun seeing it with my mom at the movie theater. She took me. She probably like, what is this pile of crap I'm taking my son to?
Oh my gosh.
Very fun, but just dumb.
Yeah, something I'm sure that you must have seen. Because again, how do we even see things? Maybe you saw a commercial or it was in Starlog or something. It's like, how
definitely commercial. Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. So next on my list, and for a minute, I didn't even really realize this was them, but Beat Street, which is another rap classic. But this one was a little bit more down to earth. It wasn't about breakdancing, but it was about, and unless I'm mixing it, I might be in my brain mixing it up with Crush.
Oh, no, they didn't do that one. That was the one they had to beat to the theater with breaking.
Then I don't know why it was on their list. All right, scrub that one.
Because they referenced the movie because these are just films that were in the movie, not their movies.
Well, scratch that. All right. Well, I'll jump to the next one, and then that'll be the end of my fun ones. Beat Street is very fun, but it's not one of theirs. So, like we were talking about in the role in between here, not Que Pasa USA, Invasion USA. So this was Chuck Norris's. I call it Chuck Norris's rise to power because you've got that famous gif of him in the blue shirt. It's a button down, but it's open. So it's like someone will like put fake boobs in there, like the illustrating, but it's him with the 2 like Uzis and he's
Mhm.
yeah. And I love the roll down. So yeah, it's a Cuban Russian invasion of Florida, which they filmed in Atlanta. And it was I love that they said the neighborhood, they destroyed this entire neighborhood because it was
Yes.
an easement at the end of the Atlanta airport that had to be demolished anyway. So they moved in and blew it up for this film. I think they also blew up a shopping mall.
Redestruction.
I actually have not seen it, but it looks amazing. So I was definitely swept away. Definitely swept away.
Is that the one where Chuck Norris had the motorcycle with the machine guns and then
Yes.
the exhaust that shot missiles?
And he would, yeah, there was one, and they showed that he would look over his shoulder, just like a wry look, and then he would be like, click, kaboom! Yeah, that was great. That was great. Inspiration for Captain America's motorcycle in the first Avenger. That's where where that
Perfect,
came
perfect.
from.
Didn't they? Did they did the Captain America movie too, right?
Yes, yeah, 1990s Captain America with Matt
There you go.
Salinger. So another
Yeah.
offspring of a famous writer. Matt
Yeah,
Salinger,
the versus an Italian Red Skull.
Italian Red Skull. And then in the second film, I have them on DVD. The second film, he fought Christopher Lee. I know.
So Captain America versus Dracula.
Yeah,
Gotta love
exactly. It's good stuff.
Mm.
All
Very
right.
good times.
All right, your turn.
King Solomon's Mines. We already talked about it. Richard Chamberlain,
Yep.
Sharon Stone doing an Indiana Jones. Like, this is the movie you got from
Right.
the video store. You
Right.
watched it for fun. It was dumb, stupid, but I enjoyed it as a kid. And I didn't know they made a sequel, but they did.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it must have been successful to some regard. All right, so moving into the worst of my films. And this was one that I'm like, oh, I'll watch it because Bo Derek's in it, and apparently all she's doing is running around naked. Sorry, I was curious. It's called Bolero, directed by her husband John Derek. And I didn't even get to the part where you found out anything about the fact that she was engaged with a famous bullfighter, and he died, so she took over. But then she is just naked in absolutely every aspect of it.
a million.
I
Yes,
mean,
like,
I got through the part where she's telling one of her girlfriends, because basically she graduates from an all-girls school or something, and she's like, I'm going nuts. I'm going to run all over Europe and do whatever. So she takes up with this sultan who's just a white guy. He's not culturally appropriate at all, where she's buck naked and he's smoking a hookah and he's going to make love to her and he passes out. So I'm like, this isn't going to get any better. I turned it off. So I don't know what happens with the rest of it, but you know what? Bo Derek's a fox, so that's basically what I can give you for that one.
she rides a horse naked.
She rides a horse
That
naked,
happened.
absolutely. And the older man who's the chauffeur in it was Leslie Nielsen's partner in Naked Gun. That's where I recognize him
God.
from. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Not
perfect.
the one who wasn't O.J. Simpson.
Got it.
But
No.
yeah, there we go. All right, what do you got?
So another one that I really enjoyed as a kid was Invaders from Mars. I believe I saw this movie on Channel 50. Once again, Toby Hooper making
Toby
another
Hooper,
film.
Yep, yeah.
He basically was inspired from like the 50s movies of his youth. You know, the invaders are coming, and essentially it's all
Yeah.
about the parents being essentially taken over by aliens, and who can you trust?
Body snatchers, yeah.
And then it's a little over the top because the aliens are a little funky looking. They look like Power Rangers villains in a lot of ways. There's a thing. But I did enjoy it as a kid. It was kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, who can you trust? My parents are crazy. So I enjoyed it quite a bit. But once again, there was a funny beat about this because he was screening it for Menachem.
Yeah.
And apparently Menachem thought it was another film.
Oh,
So
right.
he was confused at what film it was and said, "Oh, this is horrible. It's not at all what I thought it would be." And he couldn't admit he was wrong ever, like somebody else we know.
Yeah, I know. I think I might be speaking to that person right now.
Exactly.
I have no
But
idea.
yeah, fun movie. I thought it was, for one of those weird sci-fi kind of movies for kids at the time.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I love it. All right. Moving on. I've already touched on this one, so this will be close. The Last American Virgin, which was the American remake of Lemon Popsicle, the most famous film. So basically a raunchy, teen flick. And again, they made notes of it. Someone who was talking about this, they said they couldn't figure out if they wanted to have this be a serious love story or just kind of a gross Porky's ripoff. But again, And it also borrows directly from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which is Jennifer Jason Leigh's character, gets impregnated and has an abortion, which is a very, very, to this day, a
Yeah.
very touchy subject, certainly with teenagers. But when that happens to Diane Franklin's character, because it steals again from, and maybe it's just a coincidence, maybe Fast Times stole from that, it was the popular kid who is aloof, impregnates her, but really it's Lauren Monson, who's the nerd character, who's Rat. The character named Rat in Fast Times is in love with her.
Oh, Ratso, yeah.
Yeah.
That's his name.
And then, when Lawrence Monson goes to visit Diane Franklin in the hospital after she has the procedure, he has a miniature Christmas tree and a bag of oranges, which is clearly something that is Jewish, it's Israeli, that makes zero sense to an American audience. So
they didn't understand American culture and just thought, this seems right.
Yeah. We'll put two things together.
Was that woman in that film, was she the lead female in Better Off Dead?
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I was wondering. She looked familiar. I always thought she was the cutest thing in the world.
Absolutely. So, that one didn't really make much sense to me. So, all right, what do you got?
Okay, so Charlie, worst. This is my worst now because I don't know. We got out of order, but whatever. My number one worst film. I've not seen this, but when I saw the movie they made and they explained it, I was like, "This is horrible." Going Bananas.
Oh my God, it's Clint Eastwood, right? The Clint Eastwood one?
No,
okay.
No. This is one where it's a little boy whose father has died. His benefactor is Dom DeLuise.
Oh
they
my
go
God,
to Africa to find a monkey, apparently, and they find a monkey.
They have,
and this was, well, originally it was supposed to be Clyde from Any Which Way But Loose, but apparently he bit the kid.
We just finished watching that crazy chimp or chimp crazy thing that just came out.
Chimp crazy.
And it's like when you have a wild animal, it's probably going to attack you eventually. So maybe don't do that.
Yep. So they got rid of the monkey and they said, "Is the monkey going to talk? Maybe it does. Who knows?" Well, they ended up getting Deep Roy, who is a famous dwarf.
Yes, absolutely.
To play the gorilla, the monkey baby thing, and it does talk. God. And it was crazy. And Charlie, guess who the African guide was played by?
I don't even want to know.
Jimmy Walker.
Dynamite!
And they had the ape say, "I love Billy." And it was horrific looking. It was horrible.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes. And he goes, "It's going to be wonderful. There's going to be so much emotion." That's what Menachem Golan says.
You know what? It's true. There is emotions. It's just not kind of really the ones that you're looking for. All right. Well, special love. It's still in my last couple here. For Deanna Troi, Marina Sirtis, who I've met on several occasions. Very young in her career in The Wicked Lady. Now, this was a retelling of something or other. Now I'm forgetting the details. Set in the Victorian era, where you have great scenes of ladies fighting topless with rapier swords. And it's just, it was, and again, when Marina was on talking about it, she said, you had all these incredible actors, and she rattled off a list of them, Sir John Gielgud, whatever it is. But Menachem still had to make it a sex romp because there's just nothing but naked chicks running around absolutely everywhere. So it's a spoof upon itself. And again, a big hit for you wouldn't see it on TV 50 maybe TV 50 After Dark. I have no idea, but crazy stuff.
I was just looking, Charlie. The budget was $8 million. It made $724,000. That's not how you run a business.
It was an immoral victory.
Apparently. Okay.
I guess.
Well, my next film is over the top. Like we said, horrible film. Not good. You don't make a movie about a dad who is trying to get his son back by winning arm wrestling competitions. Arm wrestling isn't even very cinematic. It lasts like 2 seconds. There's not much to it.
I just don't even know that it's something that you see on ESPN, but I could be wrong.
I mean, maybe, but it was like that was a thing. I mean, I guess. I mean,
I guess somebody had to write the script or something.
I mean, it's kind of funny. I think they are all trying to make things happen. Like, oh, Lambada's going to be the next big thing, so we're going to make a movie about it, even though it wasn't a big thing.
Right.
Same thing with arm wrestling. So there you go. Sylvester Stallone, his kid, everything was solved by arm wrestling and a truck.
Exactly. Lincoln Hawk and a truck. And that was a big budget movie too. But the budget was absorbed by Stallone.
It was all him. It was all Sly.
It was. Well, yeah, they had to rent a truck or wreck a truck. I love this one because I love the star. I recently saw not this film, but Night of the Comet, which was an early film with
I have seen that a long time ago. Yeah.
With Robert Beltran, who's Chakotay from Star Trek Voyager. But the female lead in that was Mary Catherine Stewart, who was just a child when she made The Apple, aka the sex musical, their attempt to do Jesus Christ Superstar or one of those early 70s things. And it was just very thinly veiled. And Mary Catherine Stewart is on here talking about, I didn't get it with the come to me. I didn't really understand, even with all the people half naked writhing around on top of each other. I just didn't get it. So I love you for your innocence, Mary Catherine Stewart. She was also the female lead in The Last Starfighter. Obviously, that was.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
was her.
Right.
That
oh my
was
goodness. Yeah, and this was directed by Menachem Golem. So
of course it was.
And he wrote the story and he did the screenplay.
Well, that makes it the most pure example of what this is all about. Is that it was the idea man.
He was convinced everything was going to win an Oscar. It was going to be huge.
Everything.
The scenes are great. It's a musical, but yeah,
it's huge.
Set in 1994, the future.
Oh my God! Yeah, you're a graduate from my school. All right, are we down to your last selection?
Well, I've got a couple. I don't know. We kind of missed some things, but I did also count the Apple, so nothing to go there. Right. I'm going to go next. American Ninja with Michael Dudikoff.
Oh my God! And one of the subsequent ones again starred Lucinda Dickey as a female ninja, who the only way.
Well, no, that was different.
Oh, I thought she was still a ninja.
No. So, American Ninja and Enter the Ninja and its 3 movies are different. She was into Ninja the Domination.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was Resurrection. But anyway, yeah, she got possessed by the spirit because the producers couldn't believe a woman could be a ninja, which is terrible.
So, yes. So a supernatural ninja film, bad. But then they decided we're going to make another ninja series called American Ninja with Michael Dudikoff.
And he came in and talked a lot about it as well. He was heavily featured.
Yeah, he was in there too. But yeah, just so dumb. It was like nobody had heard of ninja before we brought up ninja, and we're going to have an American ninja.
And they had all the stuff like he had the blowpipe. There was all the razor, like the sharp blades that stuck. In the guy's face. Or the shrinking throwing star that goes right in the middle of the guy's forehead. It was just all the classic bits you could possibly enjoy.
I mean, as a kid, I loved ninja movies, but I never got to see these because they were never on Channel 50 or at the movie theater, and my mom would never take me. I wanted to see Enter the Ninja, never got to see it in the theater.
I should have told you wanted to see The Apple.
I know. Hey, Mom, I'm 5 years old. Please take me to the Apple.
Or Bolero or the Wicked Lady. Yeah, that would have been great.
Yep. Okay. Your last one, Charlie.
My last one is a big conglomeration, and I've already talked about all the Death Wish films. So again, Death Wish was a property that these guys snagged from a single film that was made in the 1970s. Charles Bronson. And was Charles Bronson, he was in his older years. Was he a Western star, or was he like a sports guy before this? Was he like a football star or something?
No, I mean, he was like, I think he was in like The Deadly Dozen. He was just kind of your heavy actor. Death Wish actually was kind of a respectable film back in the day. His wife was in it, Jill
Ireland. Yeah.
Ireland, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. She actually had, if I'm thinking of the right person, had a guest star in an episode of Star Trek where she romanced Spock when he was under the influence of some alien spores that made him act human.
Okay.
As I recall, yeah. But but as we've said, when Golden Globus got their hands on this franchise, they turned it into a caricature of just 90 minutes each of nothing but people getting shot and falling off buildings and buildings exploding and and then nudity, like poor Marina on that appearing on that mattress and freezing her ass off because she's, there's got to be a rape or a quasi-rape scene, or they just want her walk around shaking her boobs. And poor Alex Winter getting blown up. So I don't know that I've seen any of them, but what I have seen and have heard about and the clips I saw and what was described here just looks absolutely dreadful, but so much fun. It's all so much fun, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, they made 4 of them. The first one did really well. They did the second one. And then after that, they kind of just slowly lost money.
Yeah.
And then it was just like he and Chuck Norris were the 2 kind of figureheads where they
described the Chuck buckets. This one's for Norris. This one's for Bronson. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And if you want a Chuck film, you've got to take this film is kind of what they did.
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
The assembly
They did some weird things. They bought movie theaters overseas. They bought a big building. It didn't go very well.
Yeah, and I think the beginning of the end for one of their kickoffs is they had a movie premiere or a big like client party in the parking structure of their building. And the one guy says, how do you have a party in a parking structure? Nobody can stand up straight. It's just very weird. And he said, I just got the feeling this was the beginning of the end. And he was correct because because they just started to bleed money and then selling their assets and it wasn't enough. And then the company just went away. All things end.
Yeah. So my last one, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Right.
Once again, didn't need to do this. Don't know why they did it. I mean, obviously it was meant to be a parody, but really,
right.
It was like money. We need something. Here's a movie, and just a complete waste of that franchise. There's not been maybe there's been one since then that's been decent, but it did double its budget at the box office, but
right. Lots of big,
weird.
Yeah. Just a weird, because even the clips they show were just absurd. Somebody taking a chainsaw and jamming it into, like the fat guy jamming it into his big gut. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause the first movie had it had implied gore, but you never saw it.
Right. Well,
this one was
it was a suspense thriller. I just saw the first one just a handful of years ago. And I've not seen this one, but it's taken everything that made that first film so exciting and dangerous and just turning it into a cartoon. It's Breakin' versus Breakin' 2. Think about it.
Pretty much. Yeah. This was a revenge plot where basically the victims of the first group of the people go back to take down the family. That's kind of what this was. Yeah. But a comedic take.
The big takedown. So anyway, to wrap it up, as I'd mentioned, a great number of these films are available on Tubi, which is a free streamer with ads. If you can make it through, there's a few on this list that I might finally check out. But yeah, I would say skip Bolero without a doubt.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we adios into the sunset?
No, I do enjoy these type of documentaries quite a bit. There's one actually, it's called RoboDoc, that I am curious about too, about the making of RoboCop. That would be a hell of a fun time.
That I would love to watch and discuss. That'd be fun when we get back around to the DACA world. But anyway, with that's the show, folks. As always, thanks for joining us, Todd. Where do people find you out there on the webs?
They follow me at Toxtra and at Secret Friends Unite. Join us there. We're always looking for new people to be on the show, whether you're a creator, maker, fan, or just an all-around fun person that likes to talk about the world of geek. Come and talk to us. DM us on the Instagrams, in our Discord. Join there, and then join the fun.
Lots of fun. Yeah, and that goes across the board for all of our shows. Of course, if you listen, you know that we also do a show about Star Wars, a show about Star Trek, and then, of course, Todd and Mark head up our video game show. We're looking for all kinds of folks, so we'd love to hear from you. You can also find me on Instagram and on Threads. I'm at the C3, spell it out, TheCeeThree. Very, very active on our Discord. I also have a Discord that my wife and I run called United Trekkers of Michigan. It's just a fun place to talk about Star Trek. You don't have to live in Michigan, but we had to call it something. So with that, friends, as always, one more time, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
We can pay them all the money and make the Oscars.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.